So my goal is to be as upfront and forward as possible, but as far as like any negotiations, trade details, those kind of things, I'm not going to talk about those.
Will you stay in office in any movement at all?
No,
No. Have you spoken to Dame since the trade request?
no.
Are you at all frustrated by the fact that he's pinpointing one team and sort of maybe hurt your negotiations with other teams?
Frustrated? No. I understand. I mean, I think that obviously is a place that he wants to be and that makes sense for him, as far as the rest of the makeup of the team and all that. As a team, you always hope that, you have more options. And to have limited options like that is, I wouldn't call it frustrating, but it prevents you from, perhaps seeking out the best return. So, it's something we'll have to work through.
Joe, for so long you were always that we're building around Dame. It's all about Dame. What changed?
Well, building around Dame has always been the goal, all the way even through the draft. It was the difficult things that we ran into were finding the right deals. So, in the previous 2 years, we drafted at 7, we drafted at 3. In the meantime, we were scouring the market looking for more win now players. And what kept happening was those players just weren't available. So each time we just tried to weigh that, in Shaden's draft, pick 7, what does that look like versus what's available in the market? And the answer was obvious, Shaden's better. And same thing happened this time. What does pick 3 look like versus the return in the market? And it wasn't close, had to go 3. So it wasn't necessarily intentional, it was just doing what's best for this team. And we kept doing that, and I could see why, Dame would look at it and say, well, this isn't a win now opportunity as much as, or at least as much of a win now opportunity as some other places. So from that regard, I mean, I understand his position and I respect it, and it makes sense to me why he would look to go elsewhere.
Joe, are you prepared to go into the season with Dame on the roster if you don't find a deal you like?
The goal is always to have Dame as a trailblazer. It always was and always will be. I mean, we wanted him to retire a trailblazer, so we're very open-minded to anytime Dame wants to be a part of us.
Obviously, there's been talk of a trade, so we know you're in negotiations with whomever. What's your goal right now? Typically, in win-now situations, you look for need. Typically, maybe more in your situation, like drafts, you look for best available. So in general parameters, if there is to be a Dame trade, what is your goal to come out with?
In any deal, the goal is to come out with the best outcome. So for us, I mean, that can be many different things. We could weigh it could be more of a win now player, and that would be intriguing to us. It could be a young player in picks, and that would be intriguing. It could be just picks, and we would look at that as well. For us, it's how can we maximize this return? And I don't think we have any set parameters. We would evaluate each deal case by case and choose the best one.
Then just to follow it up, if it's to get possibly a win-now player, is there a better win-now player out there than Damian Lillard?
There is not.
So you guys met with Damian after the draft. He obviously was not pleased with getting you guys to the start of free agency, which means that you do anything other than bring back Grant. What happened there? You had said there was some seeds coming for some potential deals, nothing happened. And if you think Damian could come back, do you think he can still make deals that might have
Well, free agency, the top priority was to retain Jeremy Grant, which we did, and then the goal was to retain Matisse Thybulle as well. And meanwhile, there were a lot of different trade scenarios we were working and other free agents we were talking to. Our goal wasn't to be super active directly in free agency. It wasn't a market that we wanted to get heavy into. There were some players we were talking to and still are that may make sense, but for us, the goal to improve has always been via trade, and it's continuing to work those deals.
Since you did make the decision to keep Shaden and draft Scoot, does it just make logical sense to almost want to trade Dame because then you can get younger and maybe keep up with some of these other teams like Oklahoma City and Houston who are stacking up all these young talent?
I think one thing I'll say about Shaden, Scoot, and Anthony is I think they're going to be win now very soon. I think we saw that with Scoot the other night. Like, he's not your normal 19-year-old. Those guys are going to impact winning very soon in this league. And I think Anthony's the same way, where Anthony's shown that he can be a high-end, high-usage, efficient scorer in our league and is ready to, impact winning and get us to new levels. So I think for us, it's continuing to build. Like, we really like our talent base with or without Dame. And how do we just keep supplementing these guys and put the best talent around them?
But if you can't get better as to help Dame now, isn't it best to just trade Dame anyway?
To this person's point, like, it's just hard. How do you replace Damian Lillard? Who is the person in the marketplace that is available that is a better player than Dame? And no team more than us knows what this market looks like. We've been trying for 18 months to find the Dame equivalent at another position, or someone that's 80% of Dame even. So that's the challenge, and that's where we've got to keep working it.
How do you balance wanting to quote unquote do right by Dame, who's basically where he wants to go, versus operating in the best interests of the Trailblazers, the president, and long-term future?
I mean, Dame's obviously a very important person and player to us. That, what the rest of his career looks like matters to us, and we care about that. And at the same time, we have to do what's best for us, and we've got to find the right deal and find the right makeup of the team that we're going to build forward with. So you hope that you can find that perfect situation where that lines up and he goes to a place that he wants to, and you get the best return possible. It's complicated, and usually it doesn't work out just like that, but my history has shown, like, I've done this with CJ McCollum and Josh Hart, where we work together to find them, good landing spots and getting a fair return, for the Trailblazers. So it's possible, but, there's a lot of work involved, and often it involves more than just one destination.
Joe, this is all obviously so complicated, the fact that one, it's public, and that just makes the speculation a little overstated. Two, obviously, he's built a lot of franchise built by the city. The fact that it is so out there, how much more difficult is that making it, if at all?
It can complicate it just because it is louder than your normal situation, especially, ones that we've dealt with recently. But at the same time, you just try to keep perspective and understand that let's focus on what matters here. Whether there's all this external noise, the fact remains, we want to do what's best for our team, and he wants to get to a spot that makes the most sense for him. So trying to keep our eye on the ball as much as we can, I would say, and avoid as many distractions and curveballs as possible.
And one follow-up to that point is, Aaron was very open last week that this is where Dave wants to be, and he's not going to deviate from that thinking. Do you still have hope that this can be salvaged, or you almost fully resign yourself that you're going to have to move?
I haven't lost hope, just because I understand, this league is complicated and things change, very quickly. Sometimes, we gain more information. Sometimes things aren't what we thought they were. And it's just something that in this league, we constantly have to stay nimble and adjust to changing circumstances. And I view it like that I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what will end up happening here. Just knowing that I won't be surprised if something different happens than we were originally expecting.
Jody, your statement suggested that you were surprised by the trade request. Were you surprised, and did you really believe over the last week and a half that there were deals you could make that would satisfy you?
I wouldn't say surprised. I think, Dame's been great about communicating with us, throughout his career. And I mean, over the last 3 months since the season ended, we had numerous meetings with Dame where, we understood his perspective and what his concerns were. So when those concerns weren't addressed by July 1st, I understood why he went in that direction, and then it made sense to me. It didn't surprise me, I wouldn't say, but anytime a player that you care about that much, brings that news to you, it does jolt you, So when you finally hear the truth, or you finally face that reality, it was jolting, but I wouldn't say surprising, just because I knew that, he had concerns about where the direction we were headed.
And did you believe that you could have, that there was a pathway the last couple of weeks that you could have gotten
I mean, there was so many deals that we're constantly talking through with teams, and there's so many that you think, are right there, and then you lose it, or it resurfaces. So I don't know if we had anything like teed up incredibly to where we thought it was a 90% chance of happening, but there were a dozen deals that made sense for us that, had a pretty good chance of happening. So I would have liked to have seen how that would have played out, but I understand by July 1st, if you don't have it, you may not have it 2 weeks later either.
Just a couple more, Sean.
Joe, you look at the roster as it stands right now, there's a lot of the same issues that were there last year with depth and size and other stuff are still there. How do you go about completing the roster and fixing the rest of the roster with this kind of hangover?
Yeah, I mean, what I've really done, for the most part, since the trade request is press pause as far as transacting, because I wanted to keep some flexibility with the back of our roster. We have some roster spots right now. Certain deals we could be doing would be, 3-for-1 kind of things where we're going to need some roster spots. But with that, you see guys going off the board, right? Like, so we try to keep as much warm as we can with the free agents that we're talking to, but they can only wait so long. So, those are the ripple effects of, something like this that does just kind of make you press pause. And we're not alone in that. There's other teams that I think are doing the same thing, where it's okay, let's maintain flexibility here because there could be some fairly big player movement happening.
Joe, there's been a lot of these trade requests recently. Some teams look to move quickly and just get it over with. Some teams dragging it out kind of from a pacing standpoint. What lessons have you taken from watching these sagas play out around the league? And then do you have a preference, I guess, on pacing?
Yeah. I think what I've learned more than anything is patience is critical. Like, don't be reactive. Don't jump at things just to seemingly solve a problem. I think the teams that have ended up in the most positive situation post-trade have been the ones that have been really diligent and taken their time and not been impulsive, or, the teams that really kept their urgency under control. So I think that's how my approach has been with this and will be with this, is we're going to be patient. We're going to do what's best for our team. And we're going to see, how this lands. And if it takes months, it takes months.
Last one, everyone. Joe, do you feel like you did everything that you possibly could to build around the game? And what is this general message that you have to a fan base that is passionate and upset about the fact that their franchise player wants out?
I don't feel that I did everything because I wasn't able to get done what we had hoped to get done. I mean, the effort being there, which it was, that's one thing, but actually following through and getting the result is a whole nother. And to that extent, I do feel like I failed Dame, where, our goal was always to build around him and to be as high level as possible, as quickly as possible. And whether even internally, if we thought, well, hey, we're going in the right direction here, we can get there pretty quickly. If he didn't feel that, it was still a failure on my end and just not finding that right deal.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.